If you were to have, as I would like to see, a single banking market in Europe, which would overcome the too big to fail problem, you'd also have to have a single deposit guarantee scheme for the whole of Europe. You'd have to have an effective supervision scheme for banks across Europe, which would have the problem of, would people in Frankfurt know exactly what was going wrong in the Irish housing market? So you'd have to, it would have to be a very sophisticated system that would have tentacles in every part of the market. But in fact, the people who set up the single currency at Maastricht gave that task to the European Central Bank. They were given a task of prudential supervision of credit institutions. They were given a task of reviewing systemic risk, and they didn't do their job. And they're not the only ones that are to blame, so there's not much point spending a lot of time blaming them, because everybody is to blame in this area almost. But we do need to put those sorts of things in place. And if you were to have a single European-wide deposit guarantee scheme for depositors in banks, you would probably have to have some form of European tax to produce a fund that could be used in the event of a bank going down. I don't favour a financial transactions tax at European level of the kind that's being proposed, because all that's going to do is penalise Europe in international finance vis-à-vis other parts of the world who won't have a financial transactions tax. But I could see some sense in some form of tax if it were going to be used to fund and underpin a deposit guarantee scheme, which would enable us to have a single market and get over the too big to fail problem. So all these things are interconnected. I was reflecting on what Tony said earlier about the discussion becoming much more nationalistic in member states. And I think that is because we don't have an opportunity as Europeans to vote as Europeans. When we vote for the European Parliament, we're voting in 27 different national elections. We never are required as voters to think about the interests of other Europeans in other countries, because we're not allowed to have a European election, because we're not allowed to select the President of the Commission, for example. He or she is selected by 27 people meeting in private, even though he's going to be the President for all of us. I think people should have a say, not on the grounds that Minister Hayes was talking about this morning, that it would be more efficient. It wouldn't necessarily be more efficient, but it would be much more democratic, and it would give us all a sense of involvement. And the idea, I think the European Union has to be something, now that it has moved beyond the sort of technical regulatory area into the areas that affect our daily lives. That can only work in the long term if people have a sense that they can vote the people out that are running the thing and put it in another set of people. And I think we need to move in that direction for the sake of the survival of the European Union, not out of some sort of idealistic idea that we want a perfect democracy in Europe. We're never going to have perfection, but simply for the thing to survive, we've got to think radically.